Hello, church. It is good to know that you are here with us again in this online service. Today, I just wanted to let you know, as every Sunday, that we've been praying for you. We're praying for our church in our prayer group. But I want to be more personal this time, and I want to assure you that me, as you pastor, I've been praying for you. I've been praying for your family. I've been praying for your health. I've been praying for what we want, what we are, what we are living in this moment, that it is going better. I believe, but I've been praying for you. Something that I have very firm in my mind, in my heart, is that me as a pastor have a great responsibility to pray for you and your family. This is something that I find in the Bible, in the letters of Paul, in the letters of Peter, and this is something that also Jesus did for his disciples, and this is something that I find also in the book of Acts. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I am praying for you. I am praying for you, and I'm happy to be praying for you. So I just wanted to start this service with this good news that we have the guidance, the care, and direction from God, since we are connected in prayer. So now let us sing together. Let us worship together with this beautiful hymn.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hands will sing. I, the Lord, who made the stars of night, I will make the darkness bright, who will bear my light to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away. I will break their hearts of stone, give them heart for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me.
When my wife and I got here 5 years ago, I remember that the first months I had to go to Garland to pick up my computer that was being fixed. And you know, I lived in Dallas area. I knew Dallas area, but I didn't know Garland at all. So I went to pick up my computer, but then I had to go back home. And guess what? When I was going home, I noticed that, you know, my cell phone battery died. And even worse, my car was an old car and it didn't have the charger. So, I mean, it was not working, the charger. So it was horrible. Long story short, I got home. But you know, a commute that usually takes 15 minutes, that day took me around 1 hour and a half because I didn't know where I was. Everything was an unknown place to me. In today's sermon, we're gonna find the story about a people who were also in an unknown place. And to discover who they were, we're going to read 3 passages of the Bible. So I invite you to go with me to the first one, which is on Psalm 137, verse 1. And it says, "By the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. There on the poplars we hung our harps." So in this song, we find that the people of Judah sat and cried by the rivers of Babylon. This is what the song says. But here's my question. Why were the people of Judah crying in Babylon when they were supposed to live in Judah, Jerusalem? And here's what the second passage comes. Because 2 Kings chapter 25 verse 8 says, "In the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, that was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, a servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem." Verse 9. "And he burned the house of the Lord and the king's house and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every great house he burned down. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls around Jerusalem." Verse 11, "And the rest of the people who were left in the city and the deserters who had deserted to the king of Babylon, together with the rest of the multitude, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried into exile." Okay, in this second passage, we find that the Babylon Empire came to Jerusalem around the year 586 before Christ. And this event is called by the scholars the fall of Jerusalem. The moment when the Babylonians came and conquered Jerusalem. Just to have an idea about who they were, who the Babylonians were, who the Chaldeans were, let me read for you a description the Bible gives in this passage. So Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 6. But before I'm going to read this, I'm going to tell you, Babylonians, just to clarify this, Babylonians were also called Chaldeans. So when we read Chaldeans or Babylonians, we're talking about the same empire. Okay, so Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 6 says, third passage, "For behold, I am raising up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, who march through the breadth of the earth, to seize dwellings not their own. They are dreaded and fearsome. Their justice and dignity go forth from themselves. Their horses are swifter than leopards, more fierce than the evening wolves. Their horsemen press proudly on. Their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle swift to devour. They all come for violence, all their faces forward. They gather captives like sand. Can you imagine that? Captives like sand. At kings they scoff, and at rulers they laugh. They laugh at every fortress, for they pile up earth and take it. Then they sweep by like the wind and go on. Guilty men whose own might is their God. These were the Chaldeans. This is how the Bible describes the Babylonians, the empire of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. Now you might think, Pastor, was just an empire, and these were the things they were supposed to do as conquerors, right? It was just an empire. But here's the interesting part. This description that is given to us in this passage of Habakkuk, it is not Habakkuk, a human being, who is describing this empire. Instead, if you read the book of Habakkuk, you will find out that it has three parts. The first one, which is Habakkuk talking about what he's saying. The second part, the response of God. And then the third part, which is the prayer of Habakkuk. So this description is in the part of the middle, the part where God is speaking. So this description of the Chaldeans is God the one who is talking. In other words, God is the one who is describing this empire. So if God is describing them like this, man, Judah was in a horrible situation. The story says that in the moment they entered the land, they had only one goal: to conquer Jerusalem, no matter what, to conquer the city. The Babylonians destroyed the walls that surround the city to protect it. They destroyed the big gate to enter into the city, and once they were in, they destroyed the temple of the Lord. They destroyed the house of the king and all of the houses. They burned down homes. They destroyed everything. And then they took the Jews as slaves. The people of Judah were exiled and taken to Babylon. Now, if we go back to the first Psalm, 137 verse 1, by the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. You could realize that it makes sense. It makes sense now. It makes sense that they were remembering Zion. And not only were they nostalgic, but this verse reflects what the people of Judah, God's people, experienced in an unknown place after the Babylonians conquered them. Do you remember the story that I just shared with you in the beginning? Let me ask you this. Has it happened to you that you are driving in a new place and then the GPS says rerouting, but it never gives you the new route? How do you feel in that moment when you know that there is nothing that can guide you in a literally unknown place? You know, in life, there will be times that we could find ourselves in unknown places. When the unexpected comes, when we get bad news, when we lose what we wanted so much. I'm talking about times when we will find or feel frustration, doubt, fear, anxiety. But my question here is, why did the people of Judah feel so bad? They felt so sad, so alone, so miserably. And the reason of my question is this. Number one, they had already passed through the desert. And I mean, that was a horrible situation also. That was one of the worst situations. And number two, they had already been attacked before. This was not the first time that they had been attacked. But here's the thing. In this occasion, everything was different. Because not only were they in an unknown place, as they were many times before, but this time they were in an unknown place and they had lost their GPS, which was God's guidance, God's guide. And of course, because in their case, this happened because they took God out of their lives. But here's the thing. The problem, it is not to be in an unknown place. The problem is not having a GPS in an unknown place. And let me tell you, that happens when we walk in life without God. That is when we lose our GPS. That is when we lose our direction, our focus, our guidance. And here's why. John 15:5 says, Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. And this is the reason. For apart from me, you can do nothing. We can do nothing apart from God. We can do nothing apart from Jesus. We can go anywhere without the GPS of the Holy Spirit in our lives. You know, something I've learned is that you and I were created to live under God's guidance. We were created to live under God's care and direction. But you know what? I see a lot of people who don't know this. I see a lot of people who are not walking with God, who are walking without GPS in their lives. I see a lot of people who don't want God to be part of their lives. And simply they are driving without GPS in an unknown place. That is a horrible situation. And if for some reason you who are watching us in this moment, it is the first time that you're watching us, and you have not yet begun to walk with God, I invite you to ask God to be the GPS of your life. That is the best decision you can do. That is the best thing you can do. You will be guided by God. You will be hearing, you will be listening directions from God. God will be your GPS in life and the life of your family. So I invite you to invite God to your life from now on. And we who already have time walking with God, I invite you to continue listening to him, to continue listening the route that he's given to you. Do not let anything get in the way to be guided by him. Listen the GPS, follow the route. You know what, let me tell you this. This GPS that I am talking about, it will never tell you rerouting. Never. Because he already has a route for you, for your life. After all, we can do nothing apart from him. So, when the unexpected comes, when we get bad news, when we feel frustration and doubt, or another thing else, when we are in an unknown place, let's continue walking with God, our GPS. I'll leave you with these words, Psalm 32:8. God says to you, to us, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Here's my benediction. Go, continue walking in life with the GPS of the Holy Spirit in your life. God bless you.
Church is wherever you are. Thank you for being part of our church online. We want to remind you that our midweek prayer time will be next Wednesday at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Even when we are not having in-person meetings, your giving matters. So we invite you to give online. Here's how you can do it. Go to our website, agapememorialumc.org. On the menu bar at the top, you will see the Give button. Click here. In this page, click on the Make a Donation button. In the first section, you will need to choose your fund. You will be able to choose if you want to donate to our COVID-19 Relief Fund, or if you want to give your regular offering or tithe, click General Church. Then, Contributions, and the amount you would like to give. After this, you will see a new section. Choose if you want to give by credit card or a bank account. Fill out your card and billing information, and when you're done, just click on Submit, and you finished giving online. So quick and simple. Remember that another way to do this is to mail your contributions to the church. Just put your contribution in an envelope and send it to our address. Thank you for your support.